What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of my hip hop review. This is your boy Reg here in the building, and the album I am about to review tonight is Big Daddy Kane's debut album, Long Live the Kane, released in 1988 on Code Chillin' on Warner Brothers Records. I've been mentioning I was going to do this album a couple times, with most all of his albums and shit. Finally have a chance to do this. I've been waiting to do this album. This is like one of my favorite hip hop albums. No, definitely a classic, but I'm getting way ahead of myself. Okay, so singles I was known for was Ain't No Half Steppin', Raw. Well, the remix is on here. I'll Take You There, and Set It Off. Alright. Producers include Marley Marl, but there's more I want to elaborate on that. So, okay. Big Daddy Kane. What can you say about Big Daddy Kane? One of the greatest MCs of all time. Definitely ahead of his time. Part of what I consider the lyrical trinity back in the late 80s. Rakim himself, KRS One. Yeah. Definitely one of the best to come out of Brooklyn, but he's an MC. He got to start in mid 80s when he hooked up with Biz Markie, and he used to ghostwrite a lot of his stuff, and they kicked it together and shit like that. So once Biz Markie was getting popular, he himself, they were trying to get him to rap and shit like that. So he got his name Big Daddy Kane. From what I looked up, he got his name Big Daddy Kane. Like, he got the Kane part from this movie called Kung Fu, with David Carradine's character. Rest in peace, David Carradine, by the way. Excuse me. Bear with me. I kind of have a little sore throat. I'm kind of getting rid of though, so bear with me if my voice kind of sounds a little hoarse. And the Big Daddy part from also looked up came from something that happened in a class trip, and he made Kane's. He respelled like Kane, Kane, and named the King's Asiatic Nobody's Equal. That's kind of a dope acronym and shit. So while he was he also goes for Roxanne Shante as well. Which, by the way, I forgot to mention. I know I've said that I was gonna do a review on the Roxanne Shante movie, but I'm gonna definitely hold back on it because low key, from when I watched it the first time, I liked it, but I feel like they could have done a little bit more. It could have been a little bit better in my opinion, but I'm gonna rewatch it possibly sometime soon, and I don't know when I'll do the review, so stay tuned on that. But anyway, while he was on top of Roxanne Shante, he was introduced to Marley Marl, and back in the late 80s, Marley Marl, he was just that dude. He was that producer, He was definitely doing like a lot of shit for like hella cats, like of course like MC Shan, that Down by Law album. And I'm definitely gonna get my hands on it In Control Volume 1 and also Volume 2 as well. But those albums are very hard to come by and shit. I believe they're both out of print if I'm not mistaken. Cause I know Traffic re-released Volume 1, but I believe that went out quick, fast as hell. I could be wrong on that part, but yeah, so he cut out a few songs. Like, his first single was a song called Get Into It, and then he also cut out a song called Just Rhyming with the Biz, which got him some hype. More on that later. But the song that really got him the attention was a song called Raw, which the original version is not on the album. The remix is, which is playing in the background ironically right now. So they were working on the album between 87 and 88, and this was what came out. pretty dope album cover and shit like that. In my opinion, it's probably his best album. Cause this album cover, and it's a Big Daddy thing. I probably want his like best album covers because let's be real. I'm gonna just get this out the way. Big Daddy Kane made some of the worst album covers ever, not just in hip hop and music history. I'm just gonna keep it a buck. Now that I've said it, let's just get down to it. Alright. So yeah. There's nothing really to it, just has the thanks and everything. And you just have the pictures right here. The picture in the middle is, you guys have seen this picture everywhere. It's probably one of his most iconic photos, as with the black and white photo you guys see him at. And yeah, this is just another rare picture, and an alternate picture from the album cover. Alright. So this album has 10 songs, not too long. But at the same time, some songs are longer than others on the album, so let's hear it. Track number 1, Long Live the Kane. That's a pretty cool way to start off the album and shit like that, Just pretty like braggadocio kind of song. Track number 2, which is playing in the background, it's the Raw remix. Yeah, this is definitely the remix and shit like that. And he added like a couple extra verses on it. And one of the greatest hip hop songs ever. Like, in my opinion, I like the original version better because I like how dirty that mixing was, how dirty it was and shit like that. But the remix is pretty dope too. Like, his lyrics were more crisper, his flow was definitely on point with this one and shit. So yeah, track number 3, Set It Off. This is definitely his favorite song from what I've looked up. He definitely want to have like a James Brown influence on the song. Pretty cool song. Definitely like the song and shit. Oh, I forgot. The guest appearances. I always keep forgetting the guest appearances. Scuba Lover, Biz Markie, and Mr. C. Sorry about that. Yeah, definitely Set It Off. Definitely one of my favorite songs off this album and shit like that. Track number 4, The Day You're Mine. Excuse me. That's actually like kind of like a love song, kinda. Excuse me. I'll let that song slide. It's not the best song on the album, but it's far from the worst love song he's ever done, which a certain one we're gonna discuss on Taste of Chocolate, but that's another story for a different day. Yeah, pretty dope song, pretty solid. Track number 5, On the Buggin' Tip, featuring Scoop Lover. I believe Scoop Lover was like one of his dancers and shit like that, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and he would rap in a couple of his songs, So yeah. What was it about the song? Hold on 1 second. Sorry about that. I had to check something right quick, but anyway, Scuba Lover, what most fans say about him, he's kind of like an acquired taste to some people, cause like when he raps, he be rapping that kind of like that high pitched kind of verse like hi hey, that kind of shit. Me personally, I don't mind him in certain songs and shit like that, as long as the verse is dope. But anyway, with the song On the Bugger Tip, what I liked about that song was, if you hear the beat, they kind of like sampled at the same. They kind of like sampled the same Cold Crush Brothers song they done for the Wild Style movie, which is definitely one of my favorite, movies of all time. I haven't seen that movie in a while though, but that movie definitely has an important impact on hip hop and shit like that. But yeah. So yeah, I like the way they were going back and forth with that joint and shit like that, and that is actually one of my favorite songs off this project and shit. So yeah, track number 6, Ain't No Half Steppin'. Definitely my favorite song off this album. This is arguably his best known song, and what I loved most about this song was definitely how smooth, how his flow was, how charismatic he was on the mic, how to use that classic emotion sample. It just everything just came together on that song, and the video was dope too. Yeah, very cool song right there. Shout out to my boy Mobilarity, by the way. Track number 7, I'll Take You There. Interesting song, that, by the way. This song, he kind of talks about like what it would be like if he had like its own utopia and shit like that. Sorry about that again. Yeah. So he basically is talking about what he feels like a perfect world would be and shit like that. Yeah, you guys have heard this concept before, but at the time it was kind of a new concept and shit like that. And once again, it kind of shows how versatile Kane was. The beat definitely used that staple singer sample, but there's a little backstory with that song. From what I looked up, that was actually the first song he did with Marley Marl, and he when they were about to release the track, they had to clear the sample, and guess who owned the sample to that song? Prince did. And so you guys you guys know how Prince is, when it comes to like copyright and shit like that. This was the same guy that I believe he charged Arrested Development $250,000 to sample Alphabet Street. And damn, sample snitch. Sorry, but yeah, I think I heard that story before, but it was close to that amount though. And he didn't want to clear the sample, so they had to shelve the song for a while. But once they got signed to Warner Brothers, which was owning Cold Chillin', Prince he was just cool about it. He's like, y'all can use it and shit. So, and speaking of that, I mentioned this before. They did a remix to Bat Dance, which I mentioned that when I reviewed the Batman album, which is kind of in my opinion slept on the album, by the way. So I kind of thought that was a very interesting story. Track number 8, Just Rhyming with Biz. Yeah, definitely another cool song right here. From what Big Daddy Kane said in an interview, he actually made the beat for that song and shit like that. But which I'm gonna talk about in a minute after this review is over. So yeah, just rhyme with Biz, just him and Biz Markie going back and forth and shit. Track number 9, Mr. C's Master Plan. That's just mostly he raps I think like a first verse, then it's just mostly like Mr. C just going at it, on the wheels of steel. Which Mr. C, for those of you who don't know, he is like a radio personality, record producer. He aside from working with Big Daddy Kane, he was also I think one of the executive producers on Biggie's first album, Ready to Die. Shoot. So yeah, did a review on that project, so check it out. So yeah, and you guys know that back in like hip hop, back in like the 80s, up to maybe like the early 90s, the DJ always gotta have that one track, show off the skills and shit. So, and the last song is Word to the Motherland, which is another cool song because he's telling about Black history facts and shit like that. So yeah, very cool song as well. And that's all the songs off this album. This is definitely a hip hop classic. No denying that. Yeah, this is definitely like one of those albums that ushered in a new generation of hip hop. Yes, Kane was definitely braggadocio. He was throwing battle rhymes and shit like that. And this is what I loved about, hip hop back in the 80s, just the dirty mixing, braggadocio, just the carefree nature and shit. But this is the thing about Big Daddy Kane. People never give him credit for how versatile he can be. And he definitely hinted that with this album and shit. Like, yes, the majority of this album is battle rhymes, braggadocio, but, he was talking about, mentioning like Black history, like respect for Africa, he was just talking about like a utopia. You know, he's talking about peaceful world. Like he was definitely talking about a lot of shit, but people always know him for being a ladies' man. Kind of the same with LL Cool J, but with Big Daddy Kane, it's a lot more. It's a lot more different, which I'm gonna definitely talk about when I talk about his albums, chronologically and shit. Cause yeah, and back to the production on this project. There's, how, when it comes to like Marley Marl, there's like a lot of, he'll say like he will produce like a whole project, not just Marley Marl, but definitely a lot of producers at that time. They'll like have that one producer produce whole project, but they'll have in those ghost producers say that um they had to step in the producers. That's why Kane said that shit. And another album that kind of fell victim into that was Tragedy Gaddafi's, aka Back When Then, Intelligent Hoodlums, self-titled album, which I need to get my hands on that album. That album is a hip hop classic. That album, ooh, no, y'all not ready for that album. Let me stop. But yeah, shout out to Tragedy by the way. But yeah, when it comes to that, they say Marley Marl produced a whole album, but if you definitely listen to a certain number of tracks on that, Large Professor definitely had his hand on that album. And cause back in the day, Large Professor he was trained under Paul C. And yeah, so yes, he got his like breakthrough through the Main Source album, but he did have his hand, producing for cats like Cool Rap, which I've mentioned, Kane, and so on and so on. But back to Big Daddy Kane, this album. This is definitely a very good album. If you are a hip hop head and you don't own at least one Big Daddy Kane album, I definitely gotta like say something about that. But well, I can't really be talking because I just started copying, some of his albums, last year. But at the same time, I was trying to look for his albums more in stores because I'm trying to cut back on online shopping. Cause paying for shipping and handling can be bullshit. But I just relented and I just started going to Amazon and just started copying it. So, cause his albums are kind of rare where I stay at. But other than that, yeah, stay tuned for when I talk about It's the Big Daddies. It's the Big Daddies thing. I don't know when I'll talk about that album. Maybe sometime next month at this point. So, must have in your collection. And I think they re-released this album back in 2000 and either '07 or '08. One of those years, but so must have. Peace.